Hi, I'm Meg.
And I'm David.
Welcome to The Average Vegans, a podcast to help you live an attainable vegan lifestyle. We're not the ripped influencer vegans you hear about in other podcasts. We're just some ordinary people living in the South, eating plants and loving animals.
And on this fantastic episode, as they all are, we're discussing tips and things I wish I knew on going vegan.
Yes. The things that would have made going vegan a little bit easier if we had known them beforehand. It's always, what is it? Hindsight is 2020. Is that the saying?
And it's also 2020. It's the year. Oh
Oh,
my God! I tell you, I've avoided making
that's
a
my puke
hindsight.
sound.
I have avoided making a hindsight 2020 joke, and I haven't heard one. You finally did it. You finally.
Yay, go
I
me.
thought.
I wasn't even talking about the year either.
I was like, no one's done a hindsight 2020 joke all year. I'm so excited, and then Meg does it. I'm like, oh, okay, streak gone. But I'm glad it was you that broke the streak.
It's me.
Well done. But no, we have
It's
quite.
always me. I'm such a rebel.
We have we have enough vegan years behind us. We can definitely have that hindsight of things I wish I'd have done, or things that if we're talking to a baby vegan, we'd be like, here's what you gotta do, just so you know this is gonna happen.
It'll make it so much easier if you just do these things.
Right, just spell that wisdom out. Here you go. So I think even if you've been vegan for maybe you started 2020 out, it's a journey for you. You're really getting the flow of it. Some of the stuff you'd be like, I didn't even think about that. Or maybe you've been vegan for a while and listening, you're going, that is so true.
Well, we hope. We know.
I
think we have some good tips on here, some good little bits of information that may not occur to you in the beginning. So, and we're going to start off with a really good one. I think it's the most important one. Take the pressure off yourself to be perfect. And that's kind of the purpose of this whole podcast is you don't have to be a perfect vegan, especially in the beginning. Everybody makes mistakes, even vegans. We don't read the ingredients well enough, or we trust the local restaurant that's always done us well, and something happens and we end up consuming an animal product that we didn't mean to. It's okay. It's not the end of the world. You just have to do your best. It's basically the goal is just do your best. The least amount of harm, you'll be fine.
Right. And that don't be that strive to not have to be perfect isn't like it's okay to make well, there's nothing here to eat, I might as well eat a burger. That's not what I mean. Yeah, but no. if you go to a place and you order the Apostle Burger and they actually bring you a real one, you took a bite before you realized it. You don't have to start over. You're not you don't have to start from day one again. That's not how that works. But accidents happen, mistakes are made. You go to the store, you buy your bread, and you realize it was sweetened with honey and not molasses. But you got through 2/3 of the loaf before you read the ingredients closer and went, crap.
It happens to everyone.
Yeah. Or the worst,
everyone.
It has. Luckily, I've gotten some people have caught me before I've done it, or someone will bring the cookies over, like, oh, they're vegan, and they didn't realize that butter doesn't count.
Oh,
and I'm like,
gosh.
And they're like, and I go, oh, these look really good. Yeah, what's in them? Oh, I use this. I used almond milk and I like a little bit of butter. What kind of butter? Oh, just
there you go.
Whatever. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, thank you for the attempt, but that's not gonna work.
Now I'm tainted.
Actually, I did that quite a bit when I first started out. There were like cookies at Whole Foods I didn't realize. Actually, it was actually mislabeled. They labeled it as vegan, but they actually used like egg in them or some sort of like some sort of egg wash or something on them, and I didn't know it. And I was like, And actually, I found out because the cashier who knew it was vegan, she was like, these are have an egg wash on them, right? I'm like, sorry. Like, yeah, these aren't really vegan. They put an egg wash in the back. I'm like, they probably shouldn't label them that way. And she goes, I agree. It was a muffin. Actually, it was a muffin. And she goes, I agree. But here we are. I was like, okay, well, I'll put these back. And I didn't kick myself. If I should have known better, how would I have known? And they were labeled, so I assumed.
Right.
But it doesn't mean my 2 years of going vegan's out the window. No.
And there's always ingredients that have like sneaky names. You know, we've covered that a lot in some of the other episodes
Yes.
that you wouldn't realize that they're animal products. So you're going to make mistakes. It's going to be
D3.
okay.
D3 will
Just
get you.
go on next. Yep. It's just like you don't have to beat yourself up. You just
Not at
keep
all.
going. It'll be fine. You learn from your mistakes. You learn what to avoid from each time this happens to you. So just take it as a learning experience and kind of keep going.
Precisely,
It'll
it's a
be
learning
okay.
experience. Exactly.
Um
So the and the we can go on and on about the mistakes. I'm sure we've all made at certain degrees.
we could.
But what is a great tip,
Oh
and
gosh. Mm-hmm.
especially the next two, something that I should do more of. But buying in bulk is a fantastic tip. Especially there are things you'll notice you'll eat more of because they're more filling. Like rice,
Right.
especially something you eat more of. Nooch, that's something you'll discover. You're like, what is this weird thing?
Yes.
And you'll be putting on everything.
Everything.
Everything. Oh my god, it's actually called vegan crack for a reason. Because it
It
has
is
it's just
absolutely.
oddly just it's great source for B vitamins.
Mhm.
But because I had to put the hell spin on it, you know me. But it has
Yeah,
like a
of
cheesy
course.
flavor. But
Of course, of course.
buying things like your cereals, so that would be like your rice, your oats, nutritional yeast in bulk,
Lentils,
lentils, your legumes, especially
beans,
legumes.
yeah,
Yes,
all that.
buy them in bulk and just keep them in storage. We've talked
Mm-hmm.
about things to have on hand. Buying those in bulk will save you a ton of money. And in a lot of places, you could bring in your own containers, your own jars, your own bags, reusable bags. They'll weigh them. Whole Foods does this for people who don't know, especially.
Mm-hmm.
And also small groceries will do this. They'll weigh them, pre-weigh them for you,
And I
and
think
mark them.
Sprouts does it as well.
Yes, Sprouts will as well. So you can even reduce waste if you're trying to
Mm-hmm.
reduce waste and using your own bags and jars.
Yes, great tip. And then kind of like pulling off of that, you can cook in bulk as well. And as a mod, I do pretty frequently. Um, actually, this year in May, we had a massive flood in our home. And in the process of getting our house rebuilt, we lost a lot of food because sometimes construction workers flip switches and don't ever tell anyone. You know, it's fine. It's fine. I'm not bitter. It's fine. But in the
Oh, we can
freezer
tell. We can hear
were
it in
a
your
bunch
voice.
of meals. Oh, yeah. Oh, it's angry. But it's fine. I'm over it. But in the freezer that was destroyed, there were a lot of meals that I had cooked in bulk. So by that I mean if I'm making, I don't know, shepherd's pie, I like to make a second one and then freeze it because then you have another meal that's ready and waiting. If I make soup, I make enough soup that I can freeze a whole batch of it so that I can just pull that from the freezer, heat it up, and I have a meal. And so that's what I consider cooking in bulk is things like that. Or if I'm making, I'm going to have beans with a bunch of my meals throughout the week, I would cook those in bulk so that they're all like ready. It's almost like a meal prep thing, but also I literally bring it into the meals I make for dinner. I try to make them in bulk if I can. So,
Yeah, the most common
you know.
ones I've attempted to do in bulk, because again, it's something I need to do more of.
Mm-hmm.
Is things like things that tend to take a. It's something that things that you can add to meals easily. That kind of make up a good brunt of them, like rice, potatoes, stuff like that. They can be pre-cooked, frozen, and then you just throw it in a microwave. If you're not like a microwave, you have your air fryers or your ovens or even in a pot to heat up. Those things are like super easy to cook quick. You don't need to season them, and you can add whatever you want onto it and add it to a meal. If you're making a soup, you can throw your rice or you can throw your potatoes, or really starches held up really well. I think in when freezing. So
Mm-hmm.
I
They
need to
do.
I need to bulk cook rice more often. That's something, or quinoa. Really any of
Mm-hmm.
your grains and your rices and your cereals like that. They're really good about bulk cooking just a big, like 4 or 5 cups of it. Put it in your freezer bags, throw it in the freezer, so you can really just take a big chunk and go mealtime.
And there's a
Mealtime.
little kind of side tip that just came to my head. You can also, if like, say you have a bag of apples and they're getting kind of towards the end and you don't know if you're going to finish the whole bag, you can cut up apples or other fruit and freeze it and then just use it in smoothies and stuff. So with apples, you put them on a cookie sheet flat where they don't touch each other because they tend to stick together. And you freeze them and then you just put them in a bag. So I have a whole bag of frozen apples because they were going to go bad. So instead of letting them go bad, I just, reserve them in a big bulk bag, and I can use them for smoothies. If I want to make something with apples, like apple pie or something like that, I have a ton of them. So that's kind of a little freezer tip, I guess.
I do that with bananas. If they're turned a little more brown than I would like, too. And I'm not in the mood to like make some banana bread out of them, I'll just literally I'll peel them, break them in half. And throw them in freezer bags, or if you have reusable bags, that's your best option. I need to get something in the freezer. And smoothies, they're great for smoothies or nice cream.
Yes,
making a little quick tasty dessert that's lower in calorie, higher in nutrition, which is I always advocate for.
All about that nutrition.
Yeah, you figure with all this nutrition stuff, I'd be like jacked, but I'm not. The reason
You're average like the rest of us.
Yes, I try though.
You're a little bit above though.
I have my days. So the next suggestion, which which I actually try to do fairly often, is trying a new vegetable or ingredient every week. This come by ingredient that even goes for spices, but it's something that when I first started going vegan, people always say the one thing they love about going vegan is opened up their palate. You think it would limit you, but opened up so much more. A challenge I used to do, and I do still do every now and then if I'm going to like a different store, finding one vegetable or one fruit I've never had in my entire life and just buying it. Not even looking up what can I do with it. Be like, ooh, that's a weird looking fruit, yoink, and just going home and going, all right, what was this? What is this thing?
I have done that so many times.
It's great, especially if you go to like a local farmer's market. Or if you go to like a grocery store, like especially one that's more of an ethnic grocery store that has a lot of Caribbean or like foods that are outside of your country, finding a fruit you have no idea what it is. Of course, if you have any known allergies, do your research. But just taking it home and making something with it. It's what I really love. I love doing this more at farmers markets because usually if someone's growing it, they know what they can do with it. So like. Right. What is this? What can I do with it? And they'll tell you, saute it with this or put it into a soup with this type of spices. Like I did that. My favorite, I need to get it again because actually it's oddly good.
That is such a great tip.
Yeah. Farmers markets.
To ask the people.
Yeah.
I never would have thought of that.
It's just ask Lynn, I haven't seen her in so long because I moved away from the area. But she was selling pumpkin leaves, which was really weird.
Wow.
And I was like, what is she goes, they're pumpkin leaves. I'm like, when they were furry, it was really weird. And she was like, I was like, how do you eat these? She's like, you eat them kind of like greens. They're a more bitter green. But you have to peel them. I would not have known that. So you take like a little bit of the top of the stem and you pick at it. So you get like a little bit coming off, and you just do like that, and the whole top of the leaf just comes off and it removes that fuzziness. And then you just chop them up.
Is it like slimy under it?
No, not at all.
Or is it just?
It's just it's just like a leaf, but
like
it's
a double layer leaf.
It's weird. I was like, okay, and it reminded me of it reminded me of like a kale, but not as a bitter of a kale. It was really, really good. It had a bit of a sweetness to it. It was really because it's squash. It's a squash. It had a bit of that sweetness of a squash, so it had a bit of a sweetness to it.
Right.
It was almost like a slightly sweeter but not as bitter kale. I never in my entire life would I've ever had a pumpkin leaf. I would never have seen it. But yeah,
never.
So going to farmers markets is a great place to do that. And again, you can ask the farmer if they grew it. They likely could tell you what they can do with it because they've probably cooked with it themselves to get an idea of what it's like. So because people ask, "What's this?"
Right.
And but yeah, going to a store you've never been to, or even a store you've been to, and just going, "What's that?" I did it last week. I bought some golden kiwi.
Oh, I love golden kiwi.
Never had
That's our favorite kiwi.
I've only had green. I was like, the hell is this? And I was like, it's golden. And he was like,
I think it's way better.
It is actually. It's a little sweeter. The skin's a little tougher because I peel my kiwi. Some people, you don't have to peel kiwi, but I always do because I like.
You don't have to, but
I've
done it. I've not, and I couldn't hang.
And I was like, this is so much better than the green ones. I've never had yellow before, but I went in. I was like, because I like the kiwi because kiwi is a good source of vitamin E.
Right.
So I was like, I like doing kiwi. Make sure I get that vitamin in there. And I was like,
goodness.
I really reached for a little pack of kiwi and went, what's that? Okay, why not? Whatever, same price. Who cares? So I took them home, and they were delicious. Next time I get kiwi, it'll be a yellow kiwi.
You see, exactly. And when you try a new vegetable or fruit or something like that, sometimes you can have like a reaction by other people. So you can influence other people to try fruits that they've never tried. So I eat dragon fruit every time I can get one. I love them. They're so good. I prefer the red ones over the white inside ones. But I brought one to work. I think I might have talked about this on the podcast before. I brought one to work and it was in the fridge. And I had two different people stop at my desk and go, "Are you the one who has this weird fruit in the fridge?" And I'm like, "Of course you know it's me. Come on now." Who else is it going to be?
Get my instinct alike. You caught me.
Yes, it's me. Come on now. And so I had to cut it up into little pieces so that everybody could try it because they were all like, "What the hell is this?" Like it looked like an alien fruit to them, as they said. So you trying some new stuff, which wasn't really new for me, but trying new things can also influence other people who are just a little curious.
Right.
People are more likely to try a weird fruit than a weird vegetable. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's I've noticed. I try to find the weird. I try to find the more fruit more than I do the weird vegetables. Because at this point, I've tried so many different vegetables, fruits. Because there's 55,000 varieties. I think it's 55,000 different varieties of edible fruits in the world, or something like that. Or I think I'm low, but I think that's crazy. What I read. There's a YouTuber I watch. That's his goal is to try every edible fruit in the world.
So cool.
Yeah, we're gonna do an episode. I'm gonna order some exotic fruits, and we're gonna do an episode of tasting them, and we're gonna do a video of it. We're gonna record it because it's gonna be totally awesome.
Excited.
Yeah, we gotta do it. Once the holidays are over, and like I've emptied my bank account, then we'll do it.
Oh my gosh, I'm excited for that. That's gonna be fun.
Speaking of like,
all right.
Speaking of kind of influencing others, find yourself some vegan friends.
Yeah, join a Facebook group, which we've talked about a lot. So we have Vegan Atlanta here that we are both members of, and we're from members of a few Atlanta vegan groups. But there's definitely a Facebook group near you that is full of vegans that can help you with things. You can find them, like, where else would you find a vegan friend? Literally, I've only met people through the groups.
Instagram.
Oh, festivals. Instagram too. Festivals. Yeah, that's a good one.
And of course, there's a lot of meetups. Like there's meetup.com. You can find vegan groups there.
Yes.
And there's actually there's a vegan Atlanta group. There's actually 3 of them I'm part of. When we can actually start meeting up again.
Yeah.
And we do. And we would do.
But it's important to find vegan friends. Like that is an essential part of this. Like you have to have somebody else. But I've only really had David for the most part.
Well, we're pack
I'm
animals.
So thankful for you.
Yeah, me too.
Yes.
Hearts, the heart thing.
Oh gosh. But I mean, having someone that you can ask questions to is probably the most beneficial part of having a vegan friend. Like someone to be like, "Can you double check this ingredient list for me?" Which I do to David all the time. Like, "Are you sure?" It's nice to have somebody else to kind of talk to about it.
I always tell you, like,
I
had to message you like, "Are you sure?" I was like, "Look, if I was interested in this, I would eat it right now. I don't want that thing you have. It's not interested in me, but yes, I would eat that without question. You're fine." Well, it has this. That's plant-based. You're fine.
But I'm so nervous.
My young Padawan, trust the Jedi.
It's also fun to kind of like have your little vegan friend and maybe like go to the grocery store together and talk about what you're meal prepping, which we do. We talk about that all the time. Like, what dinners are you having this week? It's always good to have somebody to kind of talk about this major change that you're making and how to make it a little bit easier. That little bonding thing helps a lot.
What really helps to have that. First off, we're pack animals, so having that support system is extremely important. So if you're having like a bad moment or you're unsure of something, I actually reached out. I've been doing this for 10 years. And I reached out to the Facebook group at like 10 o'clock at night, Vegan Atlanta group. Like, I ordered from this restaurant nearby. It's got this white sauce. They said it's vegan. Hasn't I had this? What do I do? And of course, it was tahini, and that was obvious, and I felt stupid. But I was nervous. Like, okay, because I kind of tasted it. I'm like, okay, it's not because I haven't had dairy in 10 years. So dairy is like bitter and sour to me. Mm-hmm. Like, it tastes okay. It didn't have like that weird flavor to it. And then someone who actually worked there came on and was like, nope, you're fine. And even someone's like, I've had their food before. They're really good about it. It's so tasty. Enjoy. And it was freaking amazing. But
see, if you didn't have that group to go to, you wouldn't know that answer. So like, it is highly beneficial.
Yeah. And whether it's virtual or in person is better. Because again, we're pack animals. We need those people are like the people around us. But virtual is also extremely helpful, especially in the now times.
In the now times.
I will always call it the now times, mainly because it makes you laugh. That's why I call it the now times.
So weird. All right, the next tip is yours, David.
The next tip is mine. Okay, so it's now you haven't. Now I'm reading what you wrote because I have a question about this one. So it says protein isn't as intense as you've made it to believe. Now,
you don't need as much as you think you do. It's not as like life or death.
Right. I was like, intense or important because like, but yeah, intense. Yeah, that's definitely true. And there's actually a book called Proteinaholic that digs into this. Fantastic book. Now your protein needs are definitely going to depend on your activity level. If you are trying to like bodybuild and build muscle, you're going to have to up your protein intake as well as your calorie intake. But your protein intake will have to increase. If you have muscle mass that you're trying to maintain while like you're not working out as much, protein has to move up. It depends on your mass more than anything else. The muscle mass you're either gaining or attempting to maintain. But for the typical person, it's like the last research was anything past, if they did a study on actual athletes, strength training athletes. Anything past 0.75 grams per pound of body weight had no impact whatsoever. So unless you're training to like build muscle and weight train and like put muscle on, everyone's like, you need 2 times your pounds. Like, no, you don't need 2 times. 2 grams per pound of body. All you're gonna do is you're gonna tax your kidneys and give yourself like you can actually tax your kidneys and give yourself kidney failure. It's hard to do, but you can really cause some damage if you have too much protein. So if you're an average person who's working out, just kind of trying to stay physically fit, physically active, a few times a week, going to work, take care of the family. Honestly, as long as you have a well-balanced diet, you don't need to worry about it. And everyone puts way too much focus on protein content.
Yeah, that's the first question you get when you tell someone you've gone vegan. How are you getting your protein? Like, I can literally picture this guy that I used to work with. Literally the first question, I was like, "Guy, calm down.
Yeah,
Relax.
And of course,
I'm fine. Look at me."
Right. I just do a Git gallop. I just run through like all the options until they go, "Oh, okay." Dude,
shut up, David.
I've been doing this for 10 years, brother. Trust me, I'm not wasting away. I think I got this handled. My favorite response is, where do you get your protein? Well, where do you get your protein? Well, where do you get your fiber? Go away.
Ooh, I like that.
Where do you get your fiber?
You're like, oh, I never thought about it. Yeah, I bet you have it.
Yeah, right. So yeah, it's to your point. It's not as important if you have certain goals. Typically, with building or maintaining muscle mass, it is something to focus on. If you're extremely active, like even if you're doing cardiovascular exercises, you can like run a marathon. You're breaking down muscle tissue when you're exercising that heavily. You do need to up it a little bit, but if you're just you're just basically working out to stay healthy, and you're kind of living, not really worried about that. As long as you're eating a well-balanced diet, you're gonna be fine. Your protein intake.
So everyone, calm down. It's okay.
Calm it down now. Simmer down now.
Our next little bit of information we wish we had known before going vegan. Supplements are important. Mm-hmm. They're important for everyone, every single person, whether you're vegan or not. but there are certain ones that we definitely need to take as vegans. So I take a B12 vitamin. I take vitamin D, which has to be plant-based. You have to be very careful and
Yes.
pay attention to that. Why do you keep pointing at yourself?
Because I do it too. I'm agreeing with you. Like me,
Okay.
I do it as well.
I'm like, what? I take David.
Yes.
um, and
Vitamin
then
D,
I
what's
started
up?
taking I started taking is it iodine that we're taking? What
Yes.
is it? What is it the one?
It's iodine.
Is that yeah, that's what we're
Yes.
taking now. Yeah. Um they're very important, especially like now, like right during the winter time. Vitamin D is like extra
Massively.
important, especially with us working at home. We're not going outside as much. And especially when it's winter, you're definitely not going outside as much. So having a vitamin D supplement is kind of essential
Yep.
to not just physical happiness, but mental happiness as
Right.
well, too. Like that's a big difference.
Yeah. So because like vitamin, those are three. They're considered essential vitamins, minerals, because we don't make them ourselves. Like cholesterol, we like we don't need you don't need dietary cholesterol, because as a human being you make your own cholesterol. You make all the cholesterol you need, unless you have a medical condition. That's something completely different. Um, everyone is so because I want to kind of give a little more insight, because those are three we take. So a little more insight of why we take them.
Right.
To give rundown of those main three, so I'll go iodine. Iodine is for thyroid health. It also helps maintain hormone levels, especially if you're getting older. It's really important. A lot of people, you're going to get your iodine, if you're not supplementing it, you may be getting it from iodinized salt or table salt. If you're doing like sea salt or Himalayan sea salt, stuff like that, the pink salt, you're not getting it in that way. Or if you're eating like sea vegetables, kelp, you gotta watch your kelp, because kelp can have way too much, actually cause issues. But sea vegetables are a good source if you want a natural source for it. Seaweed, anything that you like, with a roll your sushi in, for example.
Sushi.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
there's delts. There's all kinds of supplement, like food based supplements you can take, or you can take like just I take a kelp based iodine. I drop it in some water and then take a
Mm-hmm.
swig of water when I get in the morning. But it's good for hormone levels, as well as your thyroid, which also helps maintain body weight. For D, we don't make vitamin D. Vitamin D is either comes from fortified foods typically, or it comes, and mainly we make it from standing out in the sun. But what
Right,
people don't realize,
exactly.
like I go outside all the time. No, you need like half an hour of direct sunlight. Like
Yes, where
like
it's like on your face,
right.
blinding you.
If it's a cloudy day, that you're not going to get nearly what you need. So, a lot of people are surprised when they have a vitamin D deficiency,
Mm-hmm.
because like, well, I go outside, I go for the runs. You go through runs, and you go for an hour run in the woods, which is great, but you got trees all around you. It's cloudy. You're not going to get as much as you think you do. Vitamin
Right.
D is great for overall mood. That's actually where like SAD come from, the seasonal effectiveness disorder, I think it's
Yep.
called.
You're right.
Yeah, and that's where that comes from, because you have a lack of vitamin D. You see a lot of those people, a lot of issues, like I work in an office, as do you, so we're inside. Even though there's
Right.
windows, I don't get as much sunlight through my windows. So you tend to have people have a lot of like depressive issues, or just like low, I think it's low serotonin levels are caused from lack of vitamin D.
Mm-hmm.
So a vitamin D supplement, again, make sure it's plant based. Otherwise, it comes from
Yes.
wool. Or you can also get it fortified in your plant milks and things like that. It's usually where meat eaters usually get their vitamin D, because it's given to the animals that they eat. They get it that way. Um, or it comes in there. It's the vitamin D is fortified in dairy milks fairly often. It's right there, vitamin D fortified. Those are fortified with that because it was government mandated, because people weren't getting enough vitamin D, so everyone was drinking milk. Same thing for iodine. Iodine was there's the United States and a
Right.
handful of other countries. It was kind of required to have table salt be iodinized, so people get enough iodine. Because unless you're eating sea vegetables, or you're eating fruits and vegetables that are grown near the ocean, you're not getting enough iodine. Full stop.
Right.
So I don't eat my vegetables don't come from the sea, and I am not eating table salt that has iodine in it. I have to get it from somewhere else. So,
Right.
and again, I know I'm rambling, but these are like three very important things. If you're not supplementing, you
They are
need to.
very
Extremely
important.
important. B12 is needed for like creating cells in your body. It's for just maintaining overall like hair and nail health and skin health and things like that. Good sleep, good mental clarity. If you notice, if you've been vegan for a little while, you notice you're having like brain fog and you're eating enough, because not eating enough calories can cause this too. But if you're plant-based and you're getting a bit of brain fog, maybe some confusion, you're tired when you shouldn't be, you're likely B12 deficient. Again, check for deficiencies. Check with a doctor. Right. Just my own research, my own experiences. You can get B12 if you don't want to supplement directly through a some sort of pill. Like I take a little capsule every day. You can get some of your B12 through nutritional yeast, which is delicious. Also, you can get it through.
It is delicious.
It's delicious. You can get it through fermented foods, because it's basically vitamin B12 is created by bacteria, primarily found in soil. So humans, we used to get it because we would drink well water. It's in well water, but we now purify water because we don't like parasites. It's also found in rivers, dirty river water. Again, parasites would kill us, so we stopped drinking river water. And we used to not wash our vegetables. We would just like pick a carrot up and just eat it. And that's how we would get B12. Well, that's how we did it when we were like evolving. So we don't do that anymore. We drink purified water so we don't get parasites. We wash our vegetables off for the same reason. Also, our vegetables are grown in animal waste for the most part, depending what you get your vegetables from. So you don't want to eat cow poo. Now, meat eaters get theirs through the meat they eat, but they don't. That's not because the animals make it themselves. The animals in the farms are supplemented the same way that I'm taking a supplement. There's given to the cow, and the cow takes a supplement because they're just eating hay that doesn't have B12 in it, and that's how they get it. We're cutting out that middleman, or the middle cow, I guess, by taking the supplement directly. So a lot of people will give vegans kind of a quiz, like, well, you're not getting B12. Yeah, well, neither are you. You're getting your B12 because it's being supplemented through another animal to you. I'm just taking the supplement. You're getting your vitamin D through milk, but I don't drink milk, so I'm just taking the vitamin that you're getting your dairy fortified with. And the iodine, nobody's getting that unless you're eating. Of course, if you're eating table salt, you do get it. But again, I don't consume table salt. It's just I prefer the Himalayan sea salt, so that's what I use.
Me too.
So that was a long rant, but I think I ranted on that one a lot because those supplementing those, I wish I had known, because I can see a difference now that I'm doing B12. And it's very important.
Yes, major difference.
If you watch any of those like what I ate in a day stuff, people like reviews, there's some nutritionists who will review like vegans what I ate in a day. They will harp on any vegan who's not taking at least D and B12. Iodine, as long as you're eating table salt or some vegetables, you're fine. But those two are extremely important, at least.
And if you ever hear about somebody who tried to go vegan and they, didn't feel good and they had a hard time and they gave up because it wasn't sustainable, it's because they probably weren't taking supplements. They probably weren't eating the right combinations of food. And if you're not taking those supplements, you're deficient and you're going to feel it. You're going to immediately feel it. So those are probably one of our most important tips for you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. The next one would be start simple, but experiment. I like this. And it kind of goes with the trying new vegetables and ingredients every week. But the starting simple is, I think, the most important part of that sentence, because when you first go vegan, don't try to make like some gourmet meal every night. You're going to get burned out from cooking. Let me tell you, yeah. I tried. It's not a smart move.
Yeah, that's actually a common trope we get that I hear people who are non-vegans like, well, it takes so long, and the kid, you got to cook all this, and I'm like, that's what they think. They think it's this like you have to make all these crazy dishes and meals to replace what you're eating, and that's a great point. Is starting simple. That's why I always tell people when they're starting out. Take the easiest thing you make regularly, you enjoy, replace the animal part. That's it. Just do that.
Exactly. But then you can start experimenting. Once you kind of get the basics down, you're like how to make your favorite meals vegan. And then once you get that down, then you can kind of experiment, try some different stuff. And if you like our last episode, which would be episode 11, 2 episodes ago, we talked about cookbooks, vegan cookbooks, and our favorites. Now that's where you can get those experiments from. You can find tons of recipes and vegan cookbooks that you never would have thought of. And that'll help you kind of grab those new vegetables, those new spices, and try to experiment with something that you've never done before. I don't enjoy cooking. It's not my thing. But as a vegan, I enjoy it more than before because I'm trying like all these beautiful, colorful foods that I've never tried before. It's much more aesthetically pleasing. It's just a more like you're in the moment more. I feel like when you're cooking vegan, you're like more into it, and the vegetables, the fruits, everything just makes it more of an experience. So if you can start simple, but then grab some kinds of like recipes and ingredients to experiment, it'll keep you interested. And that's the important part. You don't want to get bored.
Well,
You don't want to be like, oh, this is the same thing all the time. That's why you got to experiment.
Well, even throwing like something you make regularly, throwing in an extra vegetable you wouldn't have done before may open your palate up a little more. If you're making like veggie burgers one night and you've never had a roasted red peppers, for example. Like some people may have had that before. Like throw roasted red on there, try that out. And that opens me up, just like trying even a new variation of of a squash or a different type of eggplant that you haven't had before. Could open. You may not like eggplant, but you might like Japanese eggplant. So yeah, starting simple, things things you're used to, things you're comfortable with, and then experimenting a little more and adding more things in there you wouldn't have before. Experiment. Oh, okay. That's weird. I know this is like weird, and I'm gonna keep this in because it's like the reason I got weird for a second is like you ever have a thing where your ear just starts ringing and goes deaf in one ear. You've never had that before?
No, I don't.
Oh, really?
No.
You have never had one ears go and ring? Okay, my ear. I was like, my headphones go out or my ears start acting weird. Anyway, I'm almost 40 now, guys. My birthday was yesterday,
well,
so
your ears are
I'm just
weird.
falling apart, is what it is. I think at this point. But our next tip is
David, from all of us.
Thank you. But always bring a snack with you. That's especially if you're you're going somewhere, you're not quite sure what's gonna happen. Bring some trail mix, bring a bar. I got a story. I think I told before, but I'll tell again. And I don't now, but I used to work in the agency world, as did Meg here. And sometimes I had to go to client meetings, and sometimes it was out of state. And I brought boxes of like bars and stuff with me when I would go. Because I would go to these meetings and I'm like, we're going to order lunch. And this happened. I was at a client meeting and I had a couple bars in my pocket because I know what's going to happen. And they're like, all right, guys, we're going to order lunch for you. And I'm like, but they asked, like, you might have any allergies? And I was like, I'm vegan. So, they're like, okay, we know that. We're good. We got you. We got you set up. I'm like, cool, perfect. Still nervous. So we finished working. We're doing our thing. Like, all right, guys, lunch are here. Let's go down to the little break area and we'll eat. Okay, cool. I get in there. They hand me the box. And it says, like, veg on it. I was like, cool. I opened it up. And it was a tuna fish sandwich. And I kind of looked at them, and they're like, is that okay? I'm like, well, I'm vegan, and I don't eat meat, so I can't really eat tuna fish. I said, thank you for trying, but I can't really eat it. And they're like, but it's tuna fish. And I went, right? I didn't know what to say. I was like, right? They're like, they had this look of like, can you eat anything in it? I was like, maybe
I love you.
I was like, right? I wanted to be a smart ass and go like, do fish grow on like kelp? I mean, where do you think fish come from? Like, if you cut them, did they not bleed? And I was like, right? And like, what do you want to do? And I'm like, well, that's okay. And I knew because I had bars with me. I had a snack. I had bars. I knew it was going to happen. I knew it. So I'm like, always, if you're going somewhere out with friends and you're going to hang out, have a bar with you, have a snack with you. Trail mix is great to have. What kind of track what do you do with snack wise?
I usually bring fruit. Fruit is like my go-to. I would bring like a banana or like an orange with me or an apple, something that I know is easily accessible. I love a good bar. I'm not big into trail mix because there's usually too many peanuts in there for me, and I hate peanuts.
Oh God, yes. Oh, how many times have we had? You know what? I'll tell you right now. And if Mike wants to send me this, I'll give you my address. You can send it to me because I love it so much. My favorite trail mix. You might like it. You like pineapple, right? Yeah, you like pineapple? We talked about you cutting the thing.
Is it the tropical one?
It's the Kahuna Crunch.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I love. It's got cashews and
Ooh.
It's got cashews and it's got cranberry. I think it's cranberries. But I know it has the big chunks of pineapple and it has almonds in it. It's no peanuts.
Mm-hmm.
It's so good. My favorite one. I want that now.
See, I would be down with that one.
It's actually
I just hate peanuts.
Kahuna Crunch. Every time you go to Whole Foods, look up the Kahuna Crunch. Favorite trail mix. I love it so much.
Okay, I'm gonna look for it.
It's dangerous. I don't buy it because it's dangerous.
Snacks are very important.
Yes. It's just especially if you're going out.
You have to bring a snack of some sort. Yes. Nuts are a good one in general. Like if you don't want the whole trail mix, you can definitely bring some nuts with you as a snack too. Right.
And that's
because you're always going to get stuck in a situation for sure.
Yeah. One thing I always suggest trail mix is, especially if you're going out for a while, trail mix tends to have a lot of like nuts in it, seeds and nuts in it, which are higher in protein and fat, which not when we talk about like it's not the most important thing, but protein and fat tend to be more filling and more sustaining. Mm-hmm. As so it's like a piece of fruit, which is again a fantastic option because it has fiber in it, which will slow down digestion. But it's going to give you that quick energy. So if you're feeling kind of lightheaded, you need a bit of energy in you. Fruit's fantastic. If you know you're like I'm going to be here for a while, trail mix is like the hands down for me. And a bar is just like a sticky, hard handheld version of a trail mix.
Yes.
So it's usually trail mix all together with dates.
It's true. So right.
But that's always like trail mix is my go-to whenever I'm trying. If I have like an hour drive, like I'm going to visit you, and it's an hour there, an hour back. I usually will like grab trail mix on my way, right. So when I have something to snack on there and back because I'm not going to eat for another 2 or 3 hours, and I don't want to get hangry while I'm driving.
All right, so this is going to sound a little strange, perhaps. I think to some people that don't realize this. Taste buds will change over time. The longer you're vegan, the more your kind of taste buds will alter a little bit.
Yeah.
So to me, fruit is just as sweet as candy, and it was like one day it was just like regular old fruit, and then the next thing I knew, I was like, holy crap, an apple tastes like I'm biting into a Jolly Rancher or something. Like it is intensely sweet to me. So your taste buds definitely change. There will be vegetables that you think you hate, but then when you try it again, after a while, you're going to like it because you're not eating all that processed stuff, the meat products and the dairy and stuff. Your taste buds will enjoy the healthier foods more the longer you're vegan. At least that's how it feels to me.
That's interesting. I never really thought of that because again,
I see this like thought process and.
Oh, you see me thinking like that? The stereotypical like.
Yeah, I can see, it's almost like
because I've been in
it
for so
turning.
I've been in it for so long. I don't really think about it, but because then you're still kind of fresh in it. You know, not you've been in this. I'm not saying you've been in a year. Been in
5 years.
5 years, yeah. But I don't. You think you have more of a pulse on it than I do because I'm almost 10 years in. So yeah, that's a good point. And again, there's certain fruits or vegetables primarily that I can't eat by themselves. Like I can't eat a tomato by itself. For me, eating a tomato is like I might as well take a spoonful of sugar. It's a punch in the face.
Oh, interesting.
It is so strong to me. I can't eat tomato by itself. Like ketchup is fine.
Interesting.
But if I put it like a tomato soup because that's basil and all those flavors and stuff in it, it's fine. It it mutes a little bit. But if you're like, here, eat tomato, I'd tell you get away from me because it would literally make me gasp because it's like so strong to me. I don't know why.
That's so weird. That's how apples are to me now. Yeah. They're like so sweet that I'm just like tart. I make the lemon face when I eat them.
Wow, yeah.
And it's not a bad thing at all. It's just like things are much more intensely flavored, and I'm more like I don't know how to say it. Like my palate is more I don't know, open to suggestions, I guess. Like my taste buds definitely are different. Things I never liked before, I definitely like more now.
So I like this. So this is interesting. Okay, I hope it's about this now because I'm interested in this.
Wish you guys could see his face.
So
right now.
I'm thinking about it. So there's a whole thing about like you have two brains. You have your main brain, you have your gut brain, right? Because your gut biome controls a lot of what you do. It can control how you sleep. It can control the foods you crave. Obviously, it can do a lot for you. It can change how often you exercise. Your gut is like literally a second brain. It's weird. Mm-hmm. And you can feed your bad gut bacteria by eating like also animal products. Things are high in like cholesterol and fat and sugar. They're eating a lot of like cakes and even some the vegan junk food stuff can do this to you as well. But typically when most people when they switch to a vegan diet, they start eating more fruits and vegetables, which you're feeding that good gut flora. So also, I wonder if it's part. I'm not, and it may be some taste way your taste affected too. But I think it may be also since you should start feeding that good gut flora. You're eating probably more tofu, tempeh, which is fermented. Maybe throwing some sauerkrauts and some more wider variety. I bet part of that too is your gut flora is kind of changing the way that you experience the foods as well. Because you said it's not a bad experience, it's a positive experience for you. So it's also the way your gut flora is saying, like, that's good, that's awesome, that's super bright and tasty, and like sugary, yes. And because your body loves sugar and salt and fat, your body loves that because that's your caveman brain going, that's how we live. Sweet means sugar, that means glucose, that means energy. Salt and fat means we're going to hold in some water, we're going to hold on to a little bit of fat so we can actually make it through the winter and when we don't have food. Your brain is the back of your brain's dumb. It loves some of the worst things you can have, because that's why you get like sugary sweets, but you should be eating fruit instead, because your body goes glucose. That's energy. That means we're gonna make it through the next day, traveling across the land, whatever. But I bet it's a mix of your taste buds kind of waking up and kind of not being inundated with this like grease and kind of like terrible foods, as well as your gut flora going, bring me more of that. That's good. To bring some more of that, bring some fruit and vegetables my way, because that's helping me out here and giving me a better environment to thrive in. Oh, I love that so much.
And it doesn't happen like right away, but like I definitely noticed that after a few months for sure, where things just tasted very different. Yeah, we could probably dive into that a little bit more at some point too. Yeah.
I even added, there's some vegetables I didn't like growing up that I've added to my diet now, which actually one of my things that talks about that. I'm talking about it a little bit. I'll talk about that. Actually, we'll get a little deeper, but yeah, that's interesting. I mean, that makes me think a bunch, as you can see in the video. I'm like, oh man, that's kind of my brain going. Speaking of everything that I just said, research. As you can tell, I research absolutely freaking everything. Oh my god, but that's something that
essential because, because you'll make mistakes if you don't. Right?
Yes.
Like, so part of that trying to avoid those mistakes or avoid not feeling well because you're not eating properly is the fact that you didn't research enough. And I definitely did in the beginning. But you slowly get a hang of things. You definitely make sure that you have to research every little thing. It's ridiculous. And if I don't have the time to research, I just ask David. I mean,
because I researched it. And part of that research isn't necessarily spending hours watching the documentaries and reading the papers and all the stuff that I've spent too much time doing half the time. Just out of me going, was it the taste buds or was it a gut flora thing? Which is I'll be doing that. Research is also asking those who have had the experiences. So going on to those Facebook groups and like, what's this? What should I do to replace that? I have a craving for eggs. What should I do? Things like that. So part of research is just as asking those who have already had the experience and have the understanding to give you that information. You don't have to spend hours doing all of it. And you're going to be asked questions by other people, whether people who are looking to go vegan, like you're at work, you're at work and then like they just hired a new guy and he's, like, hey, I heard you're vegan. Yeah. I just started, just thinking about doing it. What do I do for this, this, and this, and this? Having that knowledge will kind of helps give you a bit of an ego boost, but also gives you confidence. To me, knowledge is power. So having the knowledge and understanding adds to the confidence that you're doing the right thing and you're moving down the right path, and also being able to share that with other people helps with that as well.
But yes, absolutely.
You're going to have some jackass
avoiding mistakes, right? Oh God, yeah.
Some jackass can ask you, as I've said over and again, some jackass can ask you a question. If you know what you're talking about, 9 times out of 10, they won't ask you again, and they will leave you alone because you know what you're talking about.
Exactly. Oh, that's a great tip. And something that can help you with that research, apps on your phone can be incredibly helpful. We've talked about 2 of them on here, Happy Cow and is it Barnivore? Yes. Barnivore.
Happy Cow jam.
So Happy Cow will help you if you're looking for a vegan restaurant near you, vegan friendly, vegetarian. You can put in whatever your preference would be, and it tells you whatever options you have in the closest vicinity to you. And it's almost like your own specialized vegan Google where you can just literally find the closest restaurant to you. And so, like, if you're in a new area and you don't know where to eat, or you're trying to find something with your friends that both of you can eat at and they're not vegan, that Happy Cow's the best app to help you figure those options out.
It's saved me quite a few
And
times.
then, oh my God, so many times, especially if you're traveling, it's very helpful. Not that we're doing that right now, but we will someday.
Take the show on the road. What's up?
And then Barnivore helps you with like, is it just liquor, like beer, wine, and
well,
Barnivore
like
is
only it's only adult beverages. Yeah, and I use that. Okay. I use it,
but that's very handy too.
Yeah, especially during the holidays or going to a parties. When we get back, we can start like raging again. But like no, is this faux loco? Is that vegan friendly? I don't think faux loco is actually, but it'll let you know. I used it because when we went to your house for Thanksgiving, when I looked up the wine that I brought, I had to look and make sure that was vegan.
Yes,
I use Barnivore.
Yeah. So apps are very, very helpful.
Very, very helpful. Yeah. There's a few apps out there that will scan ingredients lists, and you can put ingredients in that'll tell you what it's made from and what any allergies or vegan or vegetarian, things like that. Very useful. Even in store apps, like there's you can buy food at Target, and Target has little labels that tell you something's vegetarian or vegan or gluten free. Using their apps if you're like shopping for food in there, when you look at a product, those apps will tell you. What they are by the labels. My brain just kind of skipped a beat there. You're welcome. Moving on. So this is kind of goes back into what I was talking about earlier. Trying to introduce some veggies you don't like back into your diet, and it ties into was it number 10 actually. We were talking about where maybe something you didn't like, you may find you like now. And for me, it was also adding stuff in that I knew I was going to run into a bunch. So I didn't like celery. Yeah, so I didn't like celery.
Okay.
Celery is another one of those vegetables that are like super strong to me. Like I have problems eating on their own. I gotta like dip them in something or put them in like a soup or have some hummus. So celery and cucumbers were two like big ones for me that I'm like, I hate it. And I'm like, I'm going to run into cucumbers a bunch. I should try to eat those because it's going to be on everything. And they are. They're on sandwiches. They're on salads.
I get them on pizza at Mellow Mushroom.
Really?
The one that I get the tie-dye pizza from there. And they put curry tofu, cucumbers, like a sweet chili sauce.
Yeah.
I think onions and then vegan cheese. So like cucumbers on a pizza. Whoever would have thought?
Dude, I've had French fries on a pizza.
Well, of course.
That was weird to me. Maybe because you've been to New York. I got it in New Jersey. It didn't make sense to me. But anyway, that was weird. That was a weird day. But foods and vegetables you haven't liked in the past. As you progress, you might find you actually enjoy them. Because because you've changed your palate, you've changed your diet, you may find they're actually more enjoyable than they weren't before. Or it's just useful to have a wider range. So if you're out and about and you can add those vegetables onto a sandwich or a salad or into a meal to actually increase the nutrition as well as give more volume to your food if like you're having to alter. So if you're out somewhere and you're having to alter a meal to take a meat out and cheese out and take something out, having more of a variety you can consume will actually make it you can actually more volume into your meal, so actually you're more satiated and you're more full, so you actually get something out of what you're eating.
And if you're experimenting with the way that you're cooking and the meals that you're making, those veggies that you didn't like before, you may cook them in a way that you've never tried, and it will change everything. Like if you only have ever had like asparagus cooked in the oven, but if you tried an air fryer, maybe you would like it more. Like the way that you cook an ingredient can change the way it tastes. So trying to experiment with some of the veggies you don't like in different ways can definitely change the way you experience them, and you may like them. I mean, like David said, you never know. You gotta try.
Gotta try it, man. And sometimes you try it and go, oh, that's terrible. Like asparagus, which is the devil.
I knew you were going to say
I
that.
try.
I
try
use that as an
asparagus.
example.
I know. And I try. Asparagus and grapefruit, they're two, it's a vegetable and a fruit that
I
I
can't
like.
stand grapefruit.
I try.
No.
Probably once a year, I go, okay, let me try some. Take this away from me. I never want this near
Yes,
me
I
again.
can't.
Yes.
I don't even like the smell of grapefruit. It makes my skin crawl. So that's just not something I'm going to change.
I knew somebody
okay?
who would bake it and they put cinnamon on it and they would eat it that way. Yeah, they're
No,
they're like
they're
you're a monster. No,
absolutely your serial killer for sure.
you would know you're into
Just-
that stuff. So yeah,
I am. Not the murder
no
part.
no
The true
no
crime
context.
story part.
No context. We're not giving people any context.
No, I have.
They're just gonna think you're a killer. I'm gonna move on. That's
Great. Oh God. All right. Our next tip is very helpful. And I hadn't thought of it this way until you wrote it like this, David, but have some go-to options at popular restaurants if you're going to like go out with your friends or family and eat frequently. That's interesting. I never would have thought of it that way.
Yeah, especially restaurants
So
like
explain a little bit.
So if you go out to especially like Asian restaurants where there's like sushi options and things like that, knowing what rolls they're like, okay, like knowing you can go there and have certain rolls, or it's an Italian place, there's certain pasta dishes you can get, things like that. It'll make it easier for it make it easier for you to, especially if you go with friends and family and you just socialize and be around people, and they're not having to go, well, what vegan restaurants around here? Like, oh no, let's go to this place down the road. Awesome place. They got pizzas and they got like a baked ziti, dude. You love baked ziti. I can get this like spaghetti dish with with this in it, these mushroom stuff in it.
Right.
Knowing what you can get at local popular places that you can just order and go is going to make it easier for you in the long run, easier for your friends and family in the long run, because they know they can go to the sushi place down the road and there's 4 rolls there. You can get. Let's just go ahead and go. It'll make it easier for you to be included in those gatherings.
It's less awkward of an experience.
Right. Yeah. Things like Happy Cow, those apps help a lot. And if and if you can research beforehand, that like, you're going to go to a business meeting and what's nearby. Okay. There's a place that does Asian bowls nearby. Great. Call ahead. Hey, what sauces do you have? Look. Oh, cool.
Yeah. I was just going to say, don't be afraid to call.
Yes.
Like, just don't be afraid to call and ask. I would prefer if you ask like the manager and not just the girl at the front desk, because
Right.
they don't always know, and it's not their fault. That's really the manager's fault, but not everyone knows everything that's in the dish. But yeah, don't be afraid to call. They can help you a lot. So being prepared ahead of time is a great thing.
And veganism being on the rise as it is, most places have like a vegan section, or they have options, or they've been asked so many times they just know what to tell you. But yeah, just knowing your popular places that, whether again sandwich shops, Subway. I can go to Subway right now and get a sandwich. I mean, I can have like meat and cheeses on it, and they have a bean patty that has egg in it, or cheese in it. But
there's like a veggie patty that has egg in it. It's a real bummer.
But I can go in there and but like if I'm on a road trip, like let's say I had to, when I start back to the office, we got to go meet a client to sell our product or thing, whatever. And like, we'll stop by Subway. I don't be like, well, I can't go in there because there's no. Like, okay, cool. I could throw down some.
Just get a veggie loaded sub. It's fine.
Yeah, and you actually get funny looks. Like, you want the meat? Like, no, you want cheese? Nope. Just every vegetable you got, throw it on there. And they go, what? And I go, if it's a vegetable, smush it. Go all crazy on it. And then what's great is they'll actually load you down, because
they will.
You have this massive like sandwich, and everybody has like a thin sandwich because they have all this meat, because it's cheaper for them to do vegetables. And it's almost like they feel bad for you. They're like, okay, well, we'll give you extra. We're gonna give you some extra pickles.
That's how I feel when I go to Salata, which is like a local salad place to us.
Yeah.
I get like all the veggies.
So
I'm like everything here but that olive, like everything here but the jalapenos or something like that.
Yeah.
And the people next to me are just like, what is wrong?
Even I was like, Jesus.
But my salad costs the same as everybody else's, and that bitch is like twice as big.
Fucking
okay.
huge.
It lasts me for like 3 meals.
Didn't they, I think you and I ate there, and they had to put yours in like 2 containers or something, didn't they?
They did, yes, they do.
Like,
they get mad when I come. They're just like, oh crap, not her again.
Holy shit. Yeah.
Listen,
but again, that's just
charge more.
But no,
I'm going crazy.
Right, like I think we're losing money on this bitch. but, but yeah, knowing places, even like Pizza Hut. Like Pizza Hut now has plant-based meat they can put on. They have
Yes,
Beyond
they
Beef they
do,
put
and I
on it.
get it all the time.
Yeah, I haven't
We
done
get
it
it
yet.
like
I'm
we
gonna
get it
do
almost
that.
like once, like in the weekends, like we usually get it. And when it comes, I just put some of my own cheese on it if I even feel up to it. Sometimes I'm okay with
Hmm.
pizza with no cheese. It's not a big deal to me.
Yeah.
But I mean, I have my own cheese. They've got Beyond sausage and Beyond meat, loaded up with all the veggies you want. It's perfectly fine.
Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah, but exactly, just knowing all the places you can go that are local, that are common, that aren't specifically vegan restaurants. But the biggest thing is have your go-to options. Know what they are, so you're not sitting there with a menu going, It's gonna make you feel awkward. It'll make you else feel weird. It's gonna make the whole
Yes.
situation take lay longer. And just call ahead, know the menu beforehand, know what you can do beforehand, and you can immediately go put your order in. It'll make you feel more confident. It'll make everyone else feel more inclusive with you. And a lot of people will be impressed. Like, I didn't know you could order that. And it can pull your friends a little closer to you, and your family to you, and have a little more understanding and a little more inclusivity. Words.
And that also helps, like with not to harp on this tip too much, but
Yeah.
that also helps with like lunches at work.
Oh my gosh.
So there's a ton of places to eat near where I work, but I know certain ones that I can eat things at. So if we're having a group meal, like where our boss would buy everyone food, and I'm obviously talking about before the now times. um, he knows to ask me like which restaurants I can eat at, and he's respectful and picks those because they have like everything else for everyone else. So
Yeah.
like knowing that can also take away that weirdness in an office, which can be very, very awkward. Like birthday lunches and you're the weird one who
Right.
like
Who
can't
they
eat
had
anything.
or they had ordered from that one place just for you, and now you feel like the dick in the group. Well, it's like
Yeah.
Panera. Well, the Panera's changed, but like my go to when my job was always Panera. Like, we're a Panera. Who would you want? I would say like this sandwich with focaccia, remove the feta. I knew the order, top of my
There you
head.
go.
I knew it, and they go, cool, boop, boop, boop. Have a nice day. They knew what I needed.
And so then you're not like this difficult vegan, right? You're
Yeah.
not the one making a big deal about it. You're just like, no, I got something. It's fine. No big deal.
Yeah, that's what I
Let's
need.
move on. Let's not even like have. It's not a big deal.
And also because it become a talking point, you got to explain.
Yes.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just want to eat and
Yeah, just
not
leave me alone.
explain.
I want to have a
for
sandwich.
once.
Come on now. So
Gosh.
the next one is mine is if you're just going vegan, watch your fiber intake when you're starting out. And I think some of this is like obvious, but why?
No, this is a good tip.
Right, because the most common thing I get, like, I tried going vegan, but I was just my stomach hurt all the time. I was just bloated, and like, okay, well, what are you eating? Wow, that's a lot of fiber. Especially if like I was eating a lot of beans and broccoli, and like you were hurting, huh? You had problems, didn't you?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and I have to explain this to people because they go and that's kind of the joke earlier. Like, where do you get your protein? Where do you get your fiber? A lot of people who are on an animal-based diet, they're not eating a lot of fibrous foods, so their fiber intake is pretty low. And then you go, I'm gonna get healthy, and then what's healthy? Broccoli and rice and beans and like all this high fiber like foods and carrots. All this, like your stomach hurts because you just threw a bunch of fiber in your belly, and your gut bacteria has no clue what to do with this. So it's just
they're very confused.
Right, and you're just building up this actually gas bubble in your stomach. So that's what was happening to you. And I don't want to go into any more details about what's happening to you. So if you notice when you start going vegan, if you notice there's or if you have friends who are going vegan, if you notice that they're like talking about like their stomach hurts and they feel kind of weighted down and heavy, it's not necessarily what they're eating, but it also is the type of foods that they're eating. I would suggest anyone who's freshly going vegan, making that transition, to use something like there's a website and an app. I use the app too, called Chronometer, and you can put in what you're eating for the day. It'll tell you all your vitamins and minerals and nutrients and your fiber, and you want to reduce it. If you've been vegan for a while, you notice you've had a lot of heaviness and stuff like that.
Yeah,
You're probably just eating more than you realize. Or there's probably a certain highly fibrous food like broccoli. Usually the carnivorous vegetables like broccoli and Brussels sprouts, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts. Those three tend to be highly fibrous. That's also why you can't eat we can't digest uncooked broccoli. We can't do it. It's useless to us because it's too fibrous. So you need to cook it to break it down, right? So again, I don't want to harp on this one because it can get a little weird for everybody. But if you notice, you first started going vegan, being vegan for a little while, you notice you're kind of bloaty and you're heavy and there's like kind of feel like there's a rock in your stomach, likely having too much fiber. Check out what you're eating. Put it into an app. How long? What I've been eating? What's your fiber intake? And if it looks like it's getting kind of high, drop it a little bit. Maybe switch out something you've been eating regularly with something that's a little less fibrous. There's plenty of resources online that what vegetables are more fiber than others. And try to reduce that, and I bet you'll see a big improvement. Then, if you can start adding those back in slowly, your gut flora will start to like adjust and be able to handle those more fibrous foods a lot better, a lot easier.
And that's one of the major complaints from new vegans is, their fiber intake has caused some issues with their bellies. Yeah. I hear that a lot. And so that tip is like incredibly helpful to avoid that discomfort. You don't want to feel so uncomfortable that you want to give up and not fully engulf this vegan lifestyle. So if you can avoid that like awkward too much fiber in your body problem, right, that'll help you kind of stay on the vegan track. And that's kind of what our tips are all about. We want to help you keep this momentum, stay vegan, and not have to suffer in any way. Too much fibers definitely can make you suffer a little bit.
Yeah.
Our next tip is to be mindful of variety. Okay, so now to me, this makes me think of our soy-free vegan options episode where we talked about having a variety of protein. You don't want it to be all soy-based. So definitely making sure that the way that you're eating isn't the same every single day, that you are getting a wide variety of vegetables and fruits and all that stuff. Your protein needs to be a little bit different all the time. You can't just eat all tofu, which I know is very tempting.
So tempting.
That's, it's so tempting.
We're creatures of habit, so we tend to like, okay, for kind of having roughly the same dinners and same lunches and breakfast. Although I eat the same breakfast pretty much every day, but I change up what fruit I'm putting in it, stuff like that. So making sure it's the idea of eat the rainbow. You should try to eat every color in every meal if you can, but be mindful to make sure you're varying your diet up so you're getting all of your different range of vitamins and nutrients and minerals. Because even as like a meat eater, I know I did that where it was like I the same. If I had a salad, it was the same salad. If I had if I was eating like a protein that was animal based, it was like kind of the same too. As like you eat the same thing. Again, creatures of habit, right? So, but making sure like I haven't had zucchini in a while. Let's throw some zucchini and like air fry, make zucchini fries or something. But having that variety in your diet ensures not only you're getting the right nutrients and minerals and vitamins and proteins and things you need, but it's also ensuring that you're going to feel optimal. You have clarity, you have brain clarity. Your skin is right. You're not having joint inflammation issues because some foods are better at reducing inflammation in your joints, especially great if you're working out or if you're a bit older and you're having hormonal changes, stuff like that. All that's really make sure you have a varied diet can actually help reduce a lot of those issues.
It's also like variety, like we were just saying with the last thing, variety kind of helps you keep interested too, making sure that you have a variety of different kinds of fruits and veggies will keep you in this kind of lifestyle to keep your taste buds excited. It'll keep you kind of interested. So it goes back to kind of our experiments and trying different fruits and veggies, like just making it a variety. Don't just stick to the same thing, which again is difficult. There's, you find your tried and true and you want to stick with them, but we encourage you to try other stuff. Yes. That's kind of our main tip, I guess, right? Right. We just keep saying that because that's like such an important part of it.
Variety is a spice of life. So.
All right. Next one.
Next one is yours.
You'll run into toxicity, so find your crew.
Yes.
So this doesn't have to just be, we've talked about finding vegan friends, but it doesn't have to be just vegans. Your crew can be vegan friendly people. Like my crew is David, who's vegan, but everyone
Hi.
else in my group is so like okay with it. They bring vegan food to get-togethers. We go to the vegan restaurants. They are the only people that have never like given me crap, which is why we're still such good friends.
Hi, everybody. I
They're
know.
my
I know.
crew.
I know some of y'all too. Uh, this can
No,
also
this is important.
it is important, but also it also can fall within the vegan community. And
It can, yes.
this actually I find drives people away more than people think realize, and that there's some toxic people. And this is something I wish I knew before I went vegan too. Is there's some
That's
toxicity in
true.
the vegan community of people who are like militant, for probably the like nicest word I can find, of like sometimes I read their posts on the groups. I'm like, you need to calm down a little bit. Like, I'm not saying you're 100%
Yes.
wrong, but you're part of the problem why people think we crazy. So part of that
Yes.
is even finding your crew in the vegan community. You have a like. I'm not gonna call a person out because it's not right. There's a person
No,
in
don't
like
do that.
most of my groups where when I see her post, I'm like, oh, this is gonna be good, because she is bananas. And there's a handful of us who are just like, there's a handful of people who just like roast her. Like, okay, what are you talking about? You know, it's the type of person who says that like we shouldn't have cats and dogs in our homes because that's imprisonment. It's like that type of thing. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
I
Calm
I
down.
can go into a rant of why that's bananas. Um, but so part of it's also finding the an internal vegan group where a vegan crew, even if it's local or digital, they're like you're on the same wavelength. Maybe you've been vegan the same amount of time, or you're both you're all physically active, or you're all gamers. And finding that internal crew. Also, we're pack. Like I keep saying, we're pack animals. We like having we like having our our clan, our group with us that we're all alike and we feel
Mm-hmm.
comfortable with. We feel open and we can be free with, be ourselves. So finding that even within the vegan community and outside the vegan community is extremely important for your own mental health, your own well-being, and ensuring that you can actually stick with that lifestyle for the long term, and all the way until you end up in the ground like the rest of us. Positive notes.
This makes me think of, so we've talked about how I love true crime podcasts and true crime everything, but one of the podcasts I listen to is called My Favorite Murder, and they have little spin-off Facebook groups, and there's like the vegan murderinos, which is what we call ourselves. But there is, so we love true crime, but we are also vegans. So like that's kind of a cool little combo. So we're not always talking about being vegan, but it like we can relate to each other in that way. So that's kind of like my special vegan crew, I guess.
Yeah.
Like I can go to them for things that aren't all super related to being vegan, but they also like they just get me, and I love that.
Yeah.
So
So
I
yeah,
like
they
that.
have
That's a good tip.
they're with you, eye to eye with you. Yeah, maybe not talking about vegan stuff, but because you have that community that you have the same values and morals outside of the murderinos. But I don't know, is that right? Is that right
Cute.
vernacular? I'm trying. I'm trying to connect here. But you have
You're
that. You
so
feel more
cute.
comfortable to have those conversations, which is fantastic. Speaking of kind of the toxicity of, and this is something that I had to learn, was get a thick skin mainly at first.
Yeah.
You have toxic
Mm-hmm.
people inside and out. You have people asking stupid questions and saying stupid things that may discourage you. You got to get the thick skin and learn how to just ignore the stupidity. Like that woman who says crazy stuff, I don't even respond. I just go, well, I read the comments going, oh, this is going to be good. Like I'm eating popcorn. Because I got the thick skin. I should have had the beginning because I got really upset with people right at the beginning. But now I'm like, I just had to get that thick skin, let that just roll off me. If you start out sensitive to things and getting really upset, you're gonna have a bad time, and it might drive you
Yeah.
out of a community, which you're gonna run into a toxic person inside the community, and because you weren't kind of like letting that roll off and getting that thick skin, they drove you away and put you in a position where you're no longer plant based, and put you in where you have bad health as well, which you don't want to do.
No. Um, I like that because it's not just like having a thick skin, but just kind of accepting that not everyone's going to be on board. Not everyone's going to be, think the same way as you, and just kind of accepting that and knowing there's always going to be some kind of conflict. And you can go back to, I think it's episode 3, where we talked about how to tell your friends and family that you've gone vegan. This is a great episode to help you kind of develop that thick skin, because you'll be prepared for that kind of conversation. You'll be, ready for whatever they can throw at you if you listen to that episode. So I highly recommend that.
I highly recommend every episode. Subscribe and rate us a 5.
Duh. So our next tip, second to last, we're almost done yapping at you guys. It's not really as hard as it might seem. Now, we've talked about how you can make the same meals that you always did. You just replace any animal products with vegan products, or vegan ingredients. It's not really as hard as it may seem. And that's that kind of stereotype of being vegan and as being like a difficult way to live is kind of what we're trying to change with this podcast.
Right.
Is you don't have to be, an elite athlete. You don't have to eat raw vegetables with every meal. Like, you can be just an average person that eats average food, that eats, the things you love that are vegan, but it doesn't have to be like this huge deal. And I think our tips and our episodes have definitely helped people kind of figure out how to do it in the easiest way.
Right.
So it's not as difficult. A lot of these tips definitely help with that too.
Oh, for sure. And we talk a lot about like dealing with the trolls and da, da, da. And like, it's mostly like giving these tips and suggestions and some of this like kind of more the harsher stuff to kind of like prep you for your 10 when you're going to be experiencing a 4. Like we're really saying like, get ready for this, but like no one's going to kick down your door and yell out bacon though. That's not what's going to happen, right?
They will comment that though.
Yeah, look at my tasty air fried tofu. Better have bacon on it. Well, you better if you just left me alone. So go away. I wasn't a very good comeback, but I'm tired.
Listen,
I have moments, but it's not as difficult as people seem to make it out to be. Really, it's just cooking like you always have. Just replace the animal part of it. Sometimes you deal with an idiot, and the next one kind of my last one kind of goes into that, and you just have to deal with them, and they go away. And the more you get used to the more you transition, you get used to the lifestyle, and get used to plant-based diet and those choices and decisions and making those adjustments. Having a support system, whether it be digital or in real life. What is that even anymore?
I don't know.
Right, but it may seem daunting at first, especially if you don't have the support system. But once you do the research, have a support system, you deal with a couple idiots. It's actually extremely easy. It's weird. Like I don't think about it because it's just like my life. It's
right.
I go and I make what do I want for dinner tonight? Sweet potatoes, air fried tofu, and I just cook. It's not. It doesn't. It's second nature. It's really not that hard. I think if you're a non-vegan, it seems like it is because you can't understand like one. A lot of people non-vegan don't understand like why you would even go that direction, let alone how. So they think it's difficult. Like we've got to figure out what kind of milk to drink. No, I prefer.
Just grab a nut milk.
Yeah, I mean, I like this one because it's the cheapest one and it's vanilla, and I like that, and I don't spend much money on it. Who cares?
And there's so many options nowadays it can't be that hard. You know what I mean? Like if you're making it that hard, you need to take a step back again and start small because there's just ridiculous amount of options out there now.
I look at the options that were there now that weren't there when I went vegan almost 10 years ago, and let alone when you were vegan 5 years ago.
Right, just 5, yeah.
Oh my God, there's just so many options now. It's like, what do you like? Why wouldn't you like? What are you gonna miss? Cheese? There's so many cheese options. Find one you like. Gonna miss your steak, dude? I can find you 10,000 websites how to make a vegan steak. I got a book sitting next to me that I got for Christmas from Meg. How to make 4 different types of steak. Right. I don't want to hear it. So there's no real reason. The excuses are like 20, 30 years ago. Okay, fair enough. The only time the only way you can get soy milk is in powder form. That seems like it suck, right? But there's no excuse. There's literally no excuse now.
No.
There's none. So going to our last one because we've gone on for a while and I don't want to drag on too much long for everybody. And also I'm about to pass out the microphone. Is thing that you're gonna understand. I wish people had prepared me for was everyone is an expert, and some people aren't worth the effort.
Perfectly said.
Right. Everyone all of a sudden no one else knows anything about nutrition, but as soon as you go like I'm vegan, they are a nutritionist. They have 4 degrees, and they know everything that you don't. And no, they don't. And
no,
half the time you're gonna have to listen to them go like, oh, okay, I didn't know that cows always produce milk and they had to be milked. That's interesting. God, you're an idiot. And there are some people that they're not gonna listen to you. They have no interest other than argue with you. And your best thing is to just don't feed the troll. Go, okay, well, it works for me, and just walk away from them. They aren't worth your effort. Some people, they're uninformed, they're uneducated about it, and like, oh, well, no, I just I do soy milk, and it has higher protein in it than this, that, and the other thing, and it's fortified with this, and we're good. Okay, that's great. Some people aren't even worth that. Let them run their mouth, say their stupid thing, and go, okay, and then move on. That bit me at the beginning. I wanted to debate and argue everybody, and all it did is made me tired and made them irritated, and I just looked like an asshole. It wasn't worth the time. They weren't worth the time or the effort, and now they just felt vindicated for frustrating me.
And I have experienced this at jobs more often than anywhere else, so frequently. I love my coworkers. This is my favorite job I've ever had. I'm not really talking about my actual
what the
coworkers.
hell?
Listen, dude.
I'm sorry. I forget the job. Well, you met maybe the best one.
Okay, that was fun. It was fun.
I understand.
It just didn't last very long.
I'm picking it out. Tell me about it,
right? No, but like a lot of my coworkers are CrossFit enthusiasts, and when I first joined the company, they asked me a million questions, and like every time I would try to eat lunch with everyone, the focus was on me. They're like, I don't want people watching me eat to begin with, but when you know what I mean? But here I am in this lunchroom, and everyone just wants to talk to me and stare at me and ask me questions, and I'm like, I just want to eat my food and peace. Like, I don't understand why it's such an ordeal, but they're all, fitness experts. So they had all these questions and all these comments and opinions. And eventually I went to my boss, which he was not included in this. It was everybody else. And I was like, do I have to eat lunch down there? Because it's in our handbook that we're supposed to eat in the lunchroom. And he was like, nah. He's like, I don't even know why that's in there anymore. He's like, I don't eat down there. You don't have to. I'm like, thank you. So like, I love these people. They're great, but I'm not talking about food with them anymore. Yeah. Like that's just, there's no point. Like you said, some people just aren't worth it. It's just not, it's too much.
I work with a guy. He's a nice guy. I talk about anything. He's nice, but he all of a sudden one day, was it like I was talking about something? I think I was talking with another coworker who we just talk. He's not, like hard on me about it. He was just like, oh, what about this? And this other guy I work with started quizzing me. Well, what about this? What about this? Can you have this? What about this? Well, why not this? Well, how is this? I'm like,
no.
And it wasn't he wanted information. He was just trying to like see where the depths, if he could catch me on something. Yes. And I said, look, man, I got work to do. There are plenty of resources online. If you have questions, I can send you a YouTube video. He's like, no, it's okay. And he left me alone. I'm like, dude, you're not worth my time. I got to answering it because I thought he wanted to know stuff. And I realized you're just trying to catch me on something weird. Like, I don't know something. Or like, oh, what about bivalves? Because they don't have this. I'm like, there's a YouTube video I can send you on this if you want, but I got stuff to do. It wasn't worth my effort. It wasn't worth my time. If he and I want to talk about code or like, JavaScript versus Java versus C#, whatever, we can do it. But I'm not talking about vegan stuff with him because he doesn't want to know. He just wants to catch me on something. Not doing it. Yes. Not worth my time. Not worth my effort. And he thinks he's an expert. And
you'll encounter people like that. And you just have to know to walk away.
Just that.
And that is our really, really good tip to end on too, because there are just times when you just have to walk away and it's okay.
Absolutely.
Not everybody needs to be schooled and educated. It's totally fine.
Right. Yes, exactly.
I know it's hard not to.
Tell me about it.
So we have given you 20 valuable tips. I would think, top-notch, stellar tips on
5-star worthy.
There you go.
It's worth 5 stars. 5 stars on iTunes worthy of information.
Yes, absolutely. And speaking of, you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Pocket Casts, or anywhere you get your podcast fix. Make sure to leave us a review. I'm begging you, please leave us a review. We really need them. Recommend us to your friends, family, coworkers, strangers, the delivery driver, and thank your delivery drivers nowadays, guys.
Yes.
They really need the love. Of course, follow us on Instagram at The Average Vegans or email us at theaveragevegans@gmail.com. Show notes, links, and more can be found at theaveragevegans.com. We'd love to learn your vegan story, your favorite vegan treats, what tips you have for people that are going vegan right now, because we're about to get into January. People are going to start trying some new stuff. So if you have any tips you want to share that we didn't cover today, leave it in the comments on Instagram, email us, all that good stuff. And that's about it for this week.
Yep. So until next time, guys. Bye, guys.
See ya.